Neil Young is one of Canada's most prominent ever songwriters. Starting out in 1960s Winnipeg along with the Guess Who and Joni Mitchell, he moved to the U.S. and found band success with Buffalo Springfield before going solo and teaming up with Crosby, Stills, and Nash. His music could be broadly described as country, folk, and rock and roll at this time, but later on, with his garage band Crazy Horse, he became the godfather of grunge as well. He has been on the cover of Rolling Stone 12 times. He's a double inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Buffalo Springfield and solo. Today we're going to hear from my friend and Neil Young fan Joel Dalton. Joel has been in my general band orbit for many years. Today his band Idaho Stop are going to perform Neil Young's New Mama, and his introduction is going to go deep into the story of this tune. Idaho Stop plays the Dakota Tavern in Toronto on Friday, March 31st with Angela Saini. Doors are at 7. Without further ado, over to you, Joel.
Thanks, Ian. This is Joel Dalton from the Idaho Stop. Neil Young, obviously one of the great giants of Canadian songwriting. This song, New Mama, and the record that it's from, Tonight's the Night, hold special significance for me personally because they remind me of an old friend who's no longer with us and the great times that we'd have kind of slacking off at work and listening to records. My friend Chris introduced me to a lot of great music that I'd never heard before, including this record. So a bit of a backstory to this. Neil Young only ever had one number one hit song, despite having released over 1,000 songs. That was Heart of Gold from the 1972 album Harvest. So the tour for that record, it was kind of his first big stadium tour as a solo artist, and he had invited the guitarist from Crazy Horse, Danny Whitten, to join the band on that tour. Mostly a band made up of session musicians who recorded the Harvest album. Danny was unable to play and rehearse for the tour because he was too deep into drug and alcohol addiction, and Neil Young sadly had to kick him out of the band and send him on a plane back to LA. Shortly, I think a couple days after arriving back home, Danny Whitten tragically passed away from a drug overdose, and obviously affected Neil very deeply and inspired some of the darkest music from his catalog. So the record Tonight's the Night was made with Crazy Horse and a couple other musicians, the guitarist and pianist Nils Lofgren and the pedal steel guitarist Ben Keith, who appeared on many Neil Young records. Was produced by David Briggs, and the band ended up abandoning the studio they were recording because they didn't feel the vibe in the studio, and they ended up going to sort of a rehearsal studio, and they actually knocked a hole in the wall, the brick wall of the studio, with a giant sledgehammer, and parked a mobile recording truck in the alley next to it and ran the cables and basically recorded all live off the floor. They were still dealing with the death of Danny Whitten and also another overdose death of a roadie, Bruce Berry, who was close to everybody in Neil Young's inner circle, and this is very dark subject matter. The album was recorded live. David Briggs, a producer, thought, okay, it's done, and just kind of made a compilation of the best takes and kind of roughly mixed it, and there it's done. And then afterwards, they added some more songs to it and kind of tried to clean it up a little bit, and David Briggs was kind of the opinion that they ruined the record and kind of held on to the master tapes and said, this is the way the record was supposed to sound. Anyway, and it was significant in Neil Young's catalog for a couple reasons. It was the first record that he ever let another guitar player play a solo on, and I'm pretty sure it was the first record that had a song by another member of the band. They included on the final release of the record, they included a song, "Come On Baby, Let's Go Downtown," that was written by Danny Whitten. So anyway, this record, Neil Young has called it his best record ever made. It was very unsuccessful commercially, but if anybody hasn't heard it, I would say go out and give it a listen. It's very rough. It's very rock and roll. There's out of time, out of tune moments, but I think it's right up there with some of the best rock and roll records ever made. So here is my band, the Idaho Stop, playing New Mama.
Got a sun in her eyes. No clouds are in my changing skies. Each morning when I wake up to rise, I'm living in a dreamland. Changing times, ancient reasons that turn to lies, throw them all away. Head in hand, gift of wonders to understand.